Have you ever wondered if you truly know your mother? How much do you know about her life before you came along, or your siblings, or your father? Do you know why she makes the choices that she does, or tells you the things that she does? I thought I knew a lot about my mother, but I don't think I knew much more than what she has voluntarily shared over the years. I know she was raised by her grandmother in quite a bit of hardship. I know that she doesn't have much of a relationship with her own mother, but she does her best to show up for her now. She has told me a number of times that she doesn't know who her father was, and I don't know how that has affected the woman that she is right now. I know she met my dad in high school during a festival, either music or drama, and he wasn't her first choice. She thought he was kinda boring and fancied his friend instead, but somehow here we are. I know that being a widow has been hard on her in a way that I haven't fully grasped. She has made many decisions since he died 8 years ago, many of which I don't really understand, but I learned to support. One of those decisions is moving away from home 2 years ago to go to the USA. About a month ago, I came across a book at a conference I attended. Copies of the book were displayed on a table with a lady sitting behind the table smiling so hard at me. I just had to go check them out. I saw the word mom on the cover, so that did get me curious. Shiko, the lady with a big smile, stood up and started telling me about the book. Her friend and her wrote this book as a way to get to know their mothers. And I keep referring to it as a book, but it's really a journal. It's a journal meant to capture your mom's story through a series of questions covering all parts of her life, right from their upbringing, their career, their parenting journey, to the search for fulfillment. I knew right then and there that I needed this book. Taking the time to understand my mother's life story might help me understand the woman that she is right now. In this Mother's Day special, I sit down with my mother to explore a topic that she chose out of the book, her parenting journey. We went through a number of questions and talked for almost 3 hours, so I will split her story into 2 parts. In the first part, she talks about trying to figure out how to tell my dad she was pregnant because he was just a boyfriend at that time, about how her pregnancy cravings almost got her into trouble, about going through major spinal surgery when she was pregnant with my sister, and how life was as a working mom who only got 60 days maternity leave. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know a couple of things. When we were recording this episode, my mother was in Seattle, Washington. I had to wait up for her, so I might sound quite tired in it, and she joined in on her phone, so the audio isn't exactly perfect, but I did my best to make it good. There will also be a video version of this episode on YouTube, so head on there if you'd want to watch that instead. It might have some visuals of the stuff she's talking about if I find them. I hope I do. Okay, let's jump into our conversation. This is the 6th episode of Mama Tale Season 3. I'm your host, Sally Kuria. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Mama. Let me start by saying Happy Mother's Day in advance from the one who made you a mom. So, and again, I know this exercise is a lot, and even just the fact that we're recording it is it's more pressure, but thank you for agreeing to do this on the podcast. What we can start with before we get to the questions is that you can introduce yourself and your family.
Okay, my names, I have many names, but I'm known officially by Hannah Wakene Kuria. I was named after a place called Kene in Kirinyaga, where my grandmother originated, and it's a name that I'm very proud about. It gives me a belonging. I was a banker before I retired by profession, and this was a task or a career that I really cherish. It made me who I am today, a better economist. Yeah, the mother of two girls, one being Sally, the other one Stacy, and was married to a very wonderful man called Jackson Korea, aka JK, and he went to be with the Lord, leaving me with my two beautiful girls, whom we are taking care of each other today.
Most stories on this podcast are usually about pregnancy, birth, those first early years. And you chose this topic. So that's great. I think I've always been very curious to know just how you felt as a first time mom because I'm the one who made you a mother. So we'll start with the first question, which is what do you remember about your first pregnancy? And in it, you can talk about the things that you liked, you did not like, and your struggles, and maybe how my pregnancy, okay, your pregnancy with me was different than the one with Shiro.
Wow, when it comes to pregnancy, it actually caught me off guard because most pregnancies, especially the firstborns, are not planned for. They just come. In the process of having your fun, somebody sneaks in, and that was you. I was really like, it has happened. What next? Well, how do I move? And I was scared even to tell your dad, who was my boyfriend by then, that it's like that. I didn't know his reaction. I was not married. We were just courting. We courted for 8 years. And we had to really be very careful as each one of us was following their own educational paths and to make sure that we become economically ready to even be able to raise children. And this has come. How do you start telling this man that now you know there's a place we have to sneak in a baby as we follow our paths of life? And fortunately, both of us had just started working. He was working with an insurance company, and I was working with a bank. We were newly employed. We didn't know what it entails in those jobs. And here comes the news. You're actually expecting a baby. So I had to sweet talk this man to a lunch. It was our payday. We used to be paid before him. And I called him for lunch. And guess where we went? Huru Park. Take away chips and chicken. And sat under a tree. I used to carry myself kikoi. When it's cold, I would use it. When I want to sit down, I spread it. And that was a very quiet. I needed to take him where even his reaction, nobody else is going to see. I did not know how to handle it. I didn't know how he's going to take the news. So I knew Uhuru Park is the best joint. And we met at Uhuru Park. Sat down. That time we used to eat chicken that used to roll through the windows in the fish and chips place, a place called Sana Limited. I used to pass by there and salivate when I see the chicken somersaulting. And I was like, I need this chicken and a plate of chips. That's what I could afford, 2 plates of chips and a quarter chicken actually. We could afford half. And a soda, Fanta and a Coke. And there I am walking to Huru Park. He was working in community area, so he had to just drop down. And we ate the food. As we were eating, I'm still like, should I tell him today or I wait for him to finish eating the chips? Otherwise, he might decide that even that chips he's not going to eat. And I was like, okay, let me drop the bomb. And I told him, I think we are going to have a visitor. He says, where and when? I had to start thinking again which other sentence am I going to use. When I said, I think I didn't have my monthly visitor. So he's like, eh? That's a language he understood, yeah? So what are you trying to say? Say, I think there's something that is causing the monthly visitor not to come. And I don't know, I wasn't ready for it. I don't know whether you're ready for it. But if it is true, I just have to be ready for it. Thank God I have a job. So it's like, those are very wonderful news, though they have come soon, but it is a high time we pull up our game, and there is a high time we have to accept with life, how life has, the direction life has taken. But I told him, mind you, I'm not telling you so that you can marry me. I do not want to give you any responsibilities. If you're not ready, I am ready myself. I will take care of my baby. I have a salary and a good one for that matter. So I'll give you the opportunity of being a father. And the guy was so happy. He said, it doesn't matter what we are going through, but if there's a baby, it is our both responsibilities. And we just have to accept. So I felt very nice. Uh, I felt very nice because that is the era when most men, when they are told the girl is expecting, they would jump somersault. But there's one thing about your dad. He knew when I'm saying the truth. He trusted me wholeheartedly. There was no games that I was playing around, and having quoted with somebody for 8 years, he knew me very well and I knew him very well. So there was no question of whose is it. That language was not, it didn't pop out anywhere. So the next thing is, what's the way forward? I told him, me being a Christian and a very good follower in the church, we must go through the church way by informing the parents. And he's like, let me take find time, go home, talk to my mom. Don't tell your grandma yet, because I was brought up by my grandmother. Let me hear what my mother has to say. So we had to travel that weekend, and those were the best news I think he ever gave his mother because she was like, "Can we go tomorrow?" And the fear was, is like, in Kikuyu tradition, if you give birth at home, you would name the child your mom or your dad. And that is one thing that your husband, yeah, my husband didn't want to imagine losing his firstborn to my side. So speed was of essence here because as the pregnancy progresses, and I also didn't want to be seen at home carrying a pregnancy out of wedlock. It would have brought a bad image on me being a church person. And I didn't want to let my grandma down because she brought me up in the best of her knowledge, being a godly child. And I did not want to go and break to her the news that I'm expecting a baby, yet nobody has ever gone to her home to say I'm interested in Hannah. So I told her, first things first, there's a visit I would like, I told my boyfriend then, I told him, the first person I need to give you a visit to is my grandma. So he made sure he came home all the way from Nairobi to Kirinyaga, and I had already informed my grandma there's a visitor coming from Nairobi to say hello to her, and she's like, "Uh-huh, uh-huh." I told her, "Stop making your own stories, but just wait to be told things." We are very close. We really used to joke with my grandma so much. So he came and he introduced himself. He says, "I have known Hannah for since we were in form. I was in form 3, was in form 5." and we have walked the journey together. We are good friends. Story started. By the time he finished the sentence, my grandma had everything composed to her own version. And she's like, "Are you coming to tell me you want to marry Hannah? And you know Hannah cannot be married through the back door. She has to go through the church." You get the stories of how she came in. And this time he's not mentioning anything about pregnancy. He's just saying, "I'm interested in her. And God willing, I will come for her hand in marriage." So my grandma told him, "Do you have parents?" He said, "Yes, I have a mother. Can you tell her to come and bring you? Next time you're coming, come with your mom." And so, cut the long story short, that is how we got engaged traditionally. And since we couldn't afford a church wedding, we just did a quiet one at home, that was customary way. And now with the pregnancy, you cannot say wait for until you get money to get married in church, and there is a baby on the way coming. So you have to choose which financial engagement are you going to do first, to make sure you prepare for this baby, or to make sure you prepare for a wedding. And we decided to shelf the wedding, the church wedding, so long as the customary had been done, and wait for the baby. Everyone knew about it when I was 4 months. In the process of during the ceremony of customary engaging and everything, that's when they were told, by the way, there is a tradition that you cannot be paid for dowry when you're expectant. So we are going to shelve the dowry bit again because the lady is expecting you. Yeah. Yeah. Once you're expecting, they cannot start negotiating the dowry. So he was told, that's why you came running here when you know you've already broken my sheep, the leg of my sheep. That's my grandma now. But since you're a good boy, I think I'll allow it. But make sure you promise me, as long as I'm alive, you will walk my girl down the aisle, because that has been my dream as her guardian. And he promised, and down the line, he did it. After 14 years of come we try. We call it come when you're working with a man and nothing tying you together, we used to call it come we try or come we stay. I was engaged in a come we stay relationship for 14 years. Your pregnancy, to be precise, let me tell you one thing. I loved eating chips masala, and it used to be sold in only one hotel by then, near Jamia Mosque. I used to walk all the way from my office to Jamia Mosque. What was the name of that hotel? And up to today, I don't know where that hotel went. The masala I used to eat, it has never been cooked anywhere, even if they try. That recipe went with that hotel. And I used to walk in there with my heavy pregnancy, waiting to. When I go in like this, the waiters even knew me, my time. I would be given a nice place to sit, and I eat my chips masala, not in a hurry, a whole bowl, and carry some for dinner. So there is this one day, as I was going to eat my chips masala, the news of a senior politician came out that he's dead, and the University of Nairobi students were all on the road throwing stones and everything. And that hotel, Jamia Mosque University, is not very far, University of Nairobi. So just as I've come out of the hotel with my food like this, I see a bunch of guys with placards and throwing stones right, left, and center. So I was like, I'm 8 months pregnant. That you cannot be able to run. So you either drop the chips and hold your tummy and run holding your tummy. I am there running, Yashara Street running, carrying, I'm literally carrying the pregnancy, holding it from the lower side and running. I saw a Muhindi who had not closed his shop, and I sneaked into the shop, and the first thing he saw me, he knew definitely I cannot be one of the university guys. He dragged me inside and he gave me a seat to sit down, and he asked me, "Are you fine? Should we call a doctor?" I said, "I'm fine. I'm only tired, and I've lost my chips, masala." Oh, the hotel was called Exotica. I remember the masala. I told them I am feeling tired and I've lost my chips masala to those guys because I had to choose whether to carry the chips or carry the pregnancy. So here I am. The pregnancy wasn't bad. The only thing when I used to go for my antenatal in Mata Hospital, and it is good when you're expectant to go to these antenatal clinics. You learn too much than what people who don't go for those things. Because down the line they were able to identify that I was too short for that pregnancy. My height was also a problem, and they kept on saying people are 4 feet. I think I'm 4 feet high or a meter or don't know. I was saying I'm 4 point something, and one thing my body was petite, very small, and the pregnancy was big for me. So the doctors kept on saying, "Look, we are going to watch you. You may want to go through the normal way, but your height is a problem." Again, it's like my hip area, they said, was not enlarging. So I asked them, what are you trying to suggest? And that time, the hospitals used to be christened by people. They like giving people CSs so they can make more money from pregnancies than when the normal birth. So everyone who goes to hospital, they are insisting has to be a CS. And that time to pay for a CS was very, very expensive. I believe even today is still expensive. Fortunately, I had, let me tell you something I didn't tell you. Now, when I got married, I could not declare to my employer that I'm married because I knew I needed the health insurance that I was getting from the office. The minute you say you're married, they exempt you from that. They don't cover married women. I'm supposed to be covered by my husband's insurance. My husband didn't have insurance by then. So I decided to go single by choice. So what I can benefit because I can benefit from the medical cover. Touch wood. I hope I'll not be easy. So I did have to bring my husband on board, and I told him, okay, the doctors are saying that the pregnancy is big for me. I cannot be able to go through the normal birth. But there's some tests they need to do to me. Then once this results are out, the doctor wants to meet me and my partner, that he can explain to us what is happening. So I asked that my husband, please get time. On this day, we have a doctor's appointment. That time, we never used to go with husbands. Lucky you people today, you walk around those antenatals with your husband. However, you tell a man that he has to go and this is who you ask, by the one giving back. It is you. So go with a pen and a paper, write down what they'll teach you, come and pass the information to me. So we never used to have the opportunity where a man takes you to those clinics. Every day I have to come home, the doctor said, one enters through here, comes out the other side. He picks what he wants to pick. However important it may sound, he knows his target is to make sure that the baby is born. It doesn't matter which direction. So we were there. I told him the doctor now needs to see you face to face and explain to you how things are. So I went. We had already done some scan around here where they showed the baby is bigger than me by about 12 inches. I am measuring 9 inches, and within 2 weeks I cannot make that baby come out normally. So my husband was asked, we have called you here so that you can sign this form to allow us to do a direct cesarean on your wife because of 1, 2, 3. So he was given the reasons. And he says, as long as they come out of that place, both of them safe and sound, I will sign. I don't want you come out, you tell me one has gone, the other one has remained. Because his fear was losing either of us. So now the issue now again came up. Is it a boy or a girl? Our time we never used to have the opportunity of going to know the sex of the baby, so you are waiting. Until you give birth is when now you start running to go and buy clothes. You go and buy you used to buy unisex clothes waiting for the baby to be born. So when it now came to the names, we didn't know which names to give to the baby. By then it was not a thing that we can sit down and Once a baby is born, you make the name that time when it is born. Now the most surprising thing is when I woke up from my deep sleep because obviously we had to go for the cesarean, yeah. And this time because also in the same time, babies used to be stolen. So there has to be somebody sitting there, either the dad or the next of kin, to see the baby being born and escorted to the incubator before the mother is up. And dad was there waiting. And my mother-in-law could not wait. She also said she's coming to sit with my dad, with my husband. And so after this, just to take you back, after this, the results came out and dad was told, and doctor told him that we can do it as early as tomorrow because there is nothing to it. The baby is due. We don't have to wait for the full term, 9 months. We can do it as soon as you're ready within this week. So I told the doctor to give me time to go home and sync the information. And we booked ourselves on Wednesday. So that visit was on Monday. We booked ourselves on a Wednesday and we went. Taken that Tuesday night, spent the night. I was to be in theater by 9 in the morning, but the lady was ahead of me, delayed. She developed some problems, so they delayed. I was taken in at 9:45, 9 at 9:30, and the baby was born exactly at 9:45 in the morning. That's you. So dad is given the baby. He looks at her. He's very excited. The next person he gives is my mother-in-law, and she's like, "I knew this was me to be born." And when she is brown like me, I knew nobody named after Mogore is ever born black. And I'm like, how can you say that? I know your children are black. So anyway, that was by the way. So dad marked the baby. He went out and bought some no flowers. He bought me a card. With a baby, a pink card, and where it says it's a baby girl. Nobody has a name yet. You want to know how you are named there? Okay. Now, so I was in the recovery room. My mother-in-law is seated there. Dad was moving up and down. I think he thought I am not coming back and kept on going to the doctor's office. Are you sure she's going to wake up? She's been out for the last, I don't know, it's almost an hour now. She's not able to recognize anybody. The doctor told him, wait, she's going to get up soon. When I got up, the first thing I saw, my mother-in-law was tired of waiting because it was getting late. So dad told her, you go home. I will sit here until she gets up. That's when I'll be able to come home. So when I woke up, the first thing I saw was a pink card, and I knew that must be a girl. I said, it's a girl? He says, yes, my mom. So he was so sure the second name of the baby is Mugure. Because my mother-in-law is called Mugure. No changes of names. But now their first name, he left it to me to give the name. When the doctor came in, looked at me, said, "Oh, Mugore, I hear your baby is going to be called Mugore as per the father's instructions." He says, "Yes." So, what name had you planned to name your baby? I said, Sally. And the doctor asked me, "Why Sally?" That time there is a lady called, who was a PS in the office of the president called Sally Kosgei. And I used to love her so much. The way she used to carry herself. I said, I would like this. She has so many virtues that I love. The way she carries herself in public, the way she is very economically learned. She was a good woman. Somebody would look like that. Say, people look at Wangari Maria and say, I would like to be like this lady. Sally was an icon. And on top of that, my desk mate in the office was also called Sally. And I loved her so much because she used to bring for me goodies when I was expectant. And she's the one actually used to take me for the chips masala. He used to walk me the journey of going to buy the chips masala, and we were employed same time, so we had so much in common. So there's this Sally, this other Sally in the foreign affairs by the. She was actually in the foreign affairs by then, and I was like, anytime there's news about Duku Fries, Daniel Arap Moi, the next person you see is Sally Kosgei coming in, and I'm like, oh my friend. That time all the news I will listen to them because my friend is in that screen. And I said, this is somebody to emulate. I would like my child to be associated with such a person. So that's how the name Sally came in.
It's funny, I grew up with people calling me Sally Koskei. Sally Kamasa. And in my mind, I was like, Kapana? No, not like Sally Koskei. I don't think that's where it came from, but clearly that's exactly where it came from.
So the pregnancy was very, very smooth. And the fact that now I was very happy, my husband has accepted the baby, the pregnancy, and he gave me all the support I needed. He what do you call it? All the support I needed. He was a very supportive person on that. And that is what actually, again, it didn't give me issues during the pregnancy. But now the second pregnancy, that one was planned because we needed to gap our children with at least 4 years because the issue of leaving two children with a house girl in the house was traumatizing me. So I told him, I will only give birth to another child when this one goes to school. I need to space them that way. That is why I was able to space you and Shiro with the 4 years. Because with you in the morning, I go with you to school. The house girl is left dealing with the baby. And that one was planned. But again, 4 months again, I was in the middle of an accident. I was coming from work. And I was hit at the back here near the spinal cord on the head there. And they had to rush me to hospital. I went to hospital. When I was there, as I'm being pulled to the X-ray center, I saw somewhere say, if you know you're expectant, inform the nurse before you go into this room. I remembered I was pregnant. Told the nurse, I told the nurse, you, I'm expecting. He said, what? You know, the 4 months, the tummy is still down there. I used to be very petite, small. So I told the nurse, I'm expecting. Then she asked me, how far? I told her 4 months. What? And why didn't you talk all this time? I was almost going to take you in that room. You want me to be sad? I said, I've just seen the warnings. I hadn't. Even all this time we were trying to do the thyroid carriage. You should have told me. That time I said, nobody asked me if I'm pregnant. I don't go talking about my pregnancy if nobody asks. So, kind of, we called the nurse. The doctor said the patient is something, a heavy thing they placed on me. Because the x-ray had to be done so that they can see the extent of the injury. And the injury, the results were out. They said, no, you have to admit her because I told them, you cannot admit me. I have a baby in the house. I have to go back to my baby. They said, that baby at home will be taken care of by the whoever is with that. You have to take care of it because you need a examination urgently. So what saved my neck from not being admitted that night is because I couldn't get an orthopedic who was on call. So, and it was going to be a public holiday the following day, Jamhuri, and they could not. That was December, I got the accident was December 11, 1996. So the orthopedic was going to be available on Monday. So there is no way I was going to be kept in hospital waiting, and they just put me some first aid. They put a collar, neck collar, to protect me from any further injury, and they advised I should go and stay still. If I promise, I'll only be discharged on condition I promise them that I will stay at home on total bed rest. I told them, fine, as long as I'm going to be with my baby, I promise I'll stay still. And I did that. So the following day, I had to go to see the orthopedic surgeon, and he was actually very right. He said I have to be admitted immediately. So imagine me now calling dad and telling him, the doctor is saying I must go and be admitted in the hospital for a major operation. No, these people just want money. You want to tell them you are sick. You don't look sick. I told him, my friend, he used to argue. He feels well, but he tried to show you the other side of life. Why did he accept to be admitted? It's something you can heal from home. I told him, I'm actually not fine. Sorry that I've been wearing a briefing. The CT scan is out and my spine is not good. So the doctor told me you have an injury that most people die of at the scene of the accident. How you survived me, I don't know. But thank God that we were able to put that collar because what happened is at the spine where it joins with the brain, the part of the brain, that's where there is a big muscle that holds the brain away from the spinal cord to be pressed. That's the one that ruptured. So if I had been pressed to the brain like this, I would die of lack of oxygen in the brain and gone. So what saved me is this collar they put like this, keeping the head away from the rest of the body. I went to for an operation, and again, Dad had to be called to sign those forms, and he was told, we'll be 50-50, promising you 50%. We might save the baby, the pregnancy, or we might have to terminate the pregnancy. So this operation is a major one, and we have to save the life of the mother. And Dad is told to sign. If he signed Shingo Upande, it's like, please save both of them. And the doctor told him, I'm not promising you a heaven on earth, but I'll try my best. But the most important thing is we saved the mother's life. So I went in for the operation. That time, Dad is running up and down. He has a baby too. He's in kindergarten, Wanja and Kim. He has to go and pick the baby from school. The other one is stuck in theater. He's not coming out. It was not easy for that man. So I think I stayed in theater for almost 4 hours. Came out with the stones. They had drilled stones through my skull, put like some clips that were holding some weight to keep me in that position for the next 14 days. Yeah, consecutive, not turning in one position. Even my baby's first kicks, they happened when I was in hospital. I felt somebody kicking and I'm like, she started moving and that time I didn't this must and I'm like, this must be a boy. Boys are the ones who are very aggressive in life. Okay? And I stayed in hospital for 2 months. I remember on 25th Christmas, Dad bringing you to see me, and you came and asked me if you wanted to permanently move to the hospital and stay with me in the hospital. Yeah, because you said, Mommy not coming home, I'm staying here with her. So the task was I had to convince you that Mommy is coming home tomorrow, so that you accepted to go home. So I stayed there for two. So it was not easy now that pregnancy because I had to keep on going in and out of the physical therapy. They're also observing the growth of the baby because even the operation was not easy on the baby. But I was put now under a gyna to follow up on the pregnancy, and I was put under the orthopedic surgeon. So I had so many appointments in and out of hospital. And thank God that again it had to be a direct cesarean because the heavier the pregnancy got, it was straining my spinal cord, which was already healing from the injuries. So I had to be very careful what I eat, walking too much, doing more or less like nothing. Because, and as a woman, and you used to do your own things, you're told you cannot bend, you cannot do these things. There's so much I was told not to do. But again, I was working. I was a bank cashier and I have to go to work. I didn't have transport. I have to use matatus. So the hassle for me was, yeah, in this, I'm still wearing those collar, the things on the neck. Yeah, I think that's all about it. I struggled so much with the second pregnancy. Again, the baby was safe. She was born through cesarean again 2 weeks before the full term. And again, I woke up and found a pink card. I asked Dad, where are you getting these pink cards from? You cannot bring for me a blue one for us. Now, who am I going to call this one? Meanwhile, I was prepared for a boy. I had even a name I was going to call my baby Clinton. Eh? I was in love with the US president by then. He's called what, Bill Clinton. Eh? Now you have given me a girl. Where will I start from? Look for a name yourself now. And he's like, that's my mother-in-law. Already she has her Kikuyu name. You look for the baptism. That is your bit. And I'm like, I think Stacy is a good name. You know who was Stacy? My current desk mate in the office. Again, the name that I loved that time. I did not have to think. I want a name that I can associate with. It was as easy as that. Me, for one, if I loved you and I love someone, I would want to remember that person. I kept, and I've kept those friends of mine to date. I need to know them. I associate. There's a way I associate with my friends. The friends I would like to walk the journey of life with. The friend I would like them to be there even for my children in case of anything. You keep friends because of what either of you can gain from each other.
What was the most challenging part about being a new mother?
You know that time being a first mom, we life then was very hard for mothers because, especially working mothers, because our maternity leave was so limited to exactly 60 days, 60 calendar days, where you count not just working days, but Saturday and Sunday included and holidays. So you'd find mothers struggling, staying on in the office. Some would leave their desk going to the maternity, to the hospital to give birth because you want to save these days. Because once you take a sick leave, that time it minimizes on your maternity day. Once you take even an off day, it minimizes on your maternity day, on your maternity leave day. So you struggle there, sit there, work yourself up. You have to meet targets. Transport was also an issue, but all the same, the support system. I had a very good boss in the office, and she walked the journey with me also because she saw the way I was struggling. She was very good to mothers. As much as there are some HR regulations, you would find sometimes she even asks somebody to. When she finds the way you are, by the look of you, she would know this one today. She's not in a sober time to face even the clients. You would be put back office. She would tell you go sit there, rest, and put stronger people to the front desk. And that one really supported me a lot. I was able to find it a bit easy. And again, now when it came now, I've given back this years. I still have my 60 calendar days. The baby, I'm leaving my baby in the house with a house girl who I have never even seen in my lifetime. I picked her up from a bureau, and you're leaving her with a 2-month-old baby. That baby still needs to be breastfed. And now, in the office, we are lactating mothers, unlike today where you people have somewhere in the office you can go and express the milk. We have to go home and breastfeed that child and come back to work.
So you go home to breastfeed. There's no pumping, there's no.
Do you even have the pumps? Do you have space in the fridge even to store that milk? How will you pack it? So what me I used to do, as you know, pump, we didn't have the pump, so you are literally pressing it with your hand and putting in a cup. So that you can now put it in the bottle and live whatever you can be able to live. So it was not easy. And that child has to breastfeed for 6 months, and you're being told it's total weaning. There's no weaning until after 6 months. So you have to dash home, breastfeed, come back. You're almost like carrying the baby and hiding the baby in the car park. Because even the bus fare to go and breastfeed and come back is not there. It means like you're using, if let's say you use 50 to go, 50 to come back, that's 100, 200 per day. Okay, no, three. Those are the most challenging issues with breastfeeding mothers by then, back then. I've seen nowadays they are very cautious. They are able to. Technology has brought a lot of. When I see the things I see in your podcast, I'm saying, how come we didn't have this? I am able to see life has really changed and made it easy for you young mothers. Our time it was not like that. But all said and done, all my children breastfed fully for 6 months before they could eat anything. And if it means milking myself with the hand, to make sure there is milk in that house.
I tried to hand express once because there's a day I carried the pump, but I left a part of it. The part that would actually what part was, I think the part that would go on the boob. I left that. And the milk is here. So I had to use my hands. It took so long. I barely removed anything. I was so tired and frustrated. I was like, how does anyone do this? Now to hear that you had to do that is wow.
I used to wake up very early to breastfeed the child, to breastfeed my baby you or even Shiro. And then after that, immediately I finish breastfeeding, I start pump whatever, using my hands to get whatever is left because it's still flowing. And we struggled and here we are. I managed to that. Those are the only challenging situation there. The early stages of my baby.
So the next question I have is, and I think it just goes back on Shosho being around. So how involved were your parents or dad's parents in our upbringing, and did we visit them a lot when you were kids?
As much as my mother-in-law also was there because she actually stayed on. She was helping with holding the baby while the house girl was working. And that one gave me a lot of sanity. Going to work knowing that my baby is not alone. She is with my mother-in-law is in the house. And she would stay every time I gave her she stayed in my house for 3 months. She was very supportive. That I can make her so rest in eternal peace. She gave me the best support as far as bringing up the early stages of my babies and putting in mind I was CS both of them. Even after this other accident, she was very empathetic and she was very supportive. She came, stayed with me until now. I'm strong. Is when now she would tell me, "Hey, let me go home and check how things are the other side." Because that time again, dad was working outside the country a lot, and there is no way you stop traveling. But he made sure that we are comfortable. I can say my mother and I. My mother lived in Mombasa. The best part of my life, I stayed in Kirinyaga with my grandma. So my grandma is a home that I used to take my children. When you have to visit home, this is where I used to take you because I did not have an attachment with my mother. We were not very grossly involved, and like Shusha is a person I knew. She's the one I used to go cry to in life when life is difficult. Here are children. I would take you for her to bless you. There's a way she had a unique way of blessing the newborns, which I am glad the last person she blessed was Keo, your daughter. And every time I give back, I look forward to the day I'll take my baby to her to bless. There's a way she used to bless those kids. And through those blessings, I've seen a lot of impact of those blessings in your life. Because each one of you there's a way God protects you. There's a way those prayers, my grandma used to say to you, have impacted in your life. I can see them. You may not see, but I say this is a blessing that were said by this child when she was 1 year, 2 years, depending. But I used to take you home in the first 3 months. Anytime I was able to travel, the first person I used to take to was my grandma because I believe in those blessings. There's a way she used to perform oiling your head, forehead, oiling your hands, oiling your legs, and telling you God bless you when you grow up. And I look forward to that ceremony actually, and that is one thing that, as much as she's resting in peace, I remember it like I would want when I grow old that level. You know, those are generations. There's a stage like you represent a different generation to her. I represented a different generation to her. Keo represented another generation. And now, when she blessed Keo, she told me, "Now don't give me more generations. I'm going." And 2 weeks after that, she left. You told me, "No more generations for me." So I would like when I grow old, I be like her to see those generations because it's a blessing. So don't ask me why I never used to take you to my mother. Is because I do not know her much, and I did not know how she was going to react to me having children. And it's like she is not keen on how I grew up. So I was not seeing how important it is for me to even take my children to her because if I don't know her myself, how do you expect my children to be intimate, to love her, or even to know her? Yeah, they knew her, she's a grandmother, but my two was more of a mother to me. And that is why I wanted you to also to have a rapport with her and grow knowing who she is, what she means in my life. Yeah. Mm.
We will end here for now and continue with the conversation next week. In the next episode, we talk about some similarities she sees between me as a child and who she was as a child. We also talk about the tough times that she faced when raising us and the point in our lives where I disappointed her and moments I made her proud. Remember that this episode will also be up on YouTube, so head on over to the Mama Tales podcast channel to check it out. While you're there, why not subscribe to the channel? I have interesting video content coming up in the near future. If you'd want to purchase this book and go on this journey with your own mom, check out the link that I've shared in the show notes of this episode. Make sure to also follow Historietu on Instagram for updates from the authors. I want to thank the authors June and Shiko for making this book a thing, and a special thanks goes out to my mom for doing this with me. You are a gem and I love you. Music in this episode by Blue Dot Sessions.